Welcome. My name is Philip, and I'm happy to also introduce my other co-host today, and Shadi on the other side. I'm really excited to introduce you to LeapX. So what we're gonna hopefully do over the course of the next 20 minutes is really quickly kind of run over and give a bird's eye perspective on what LeapX is. I'm then really going to try to represent and introduce to everybody interested in LeapX, what is it that you will receive, what type of support, what type of education, training, experience. We're going to try to talk a little bit about who and what is an ideal candidate for LeapX and who should really be thinking about applying for this program and how we will be selecting and what the program actually looks like when you are selected for this program. Lastly, we're going to have a very short Q&A. If anybody's going to have any questions, you can pop those questions in the chat box. One of our teammates is immediately going to share the access, or better said, the link to the LeapX website. And then towards the end, we'll also share the link towards the application site. With that said, really going to kind of kick it off in very short introductions. As I said, again, my name is Philip. I'm one of the team members, the founder of EGC. We're an organization based here in New York City. We build out entrepreneurship development programs for young startup founders, and happy to also introduce you to Shadi on the other side. Shadi, please.
Sure. Hi, this is Shadi. I am based in Munich. I'm also the founder of Leap2Peak, and my background is in entrepreneurship in general. I'm also leading a couple other startups. Yeah, so almost it.
Awesome. Thank you, Shadi. Okie dokie. So really kind of giving you a perspective on who we are as teams and who we are as organizations. So on my side, as I said, part of the work that we do at EGC is really thinking about how do we equip young founders and first-time founders with different skill sets, opportunities, funding, and resources in order for them to be able to quickly and rapidly scale into successful businesses and real companies, right? So as of now, we work in Southeast Europe, we work in West Africa, we work in New York, particularly New York State, where we try to bring in different international cohorts of founders to New York City to really kind of give them that experience of New York City's ecosystem, but also introduce them to potential investors, mentors, advisors, etc. We really try to act as somewhat of a bridge between what happens here in the US with the rest of the world and really kind of exchange of that know-how and experience. Shadi, stop myself there. Over to you.
Yeah. Leap2Peak is an organization established in 2015 in Cyprus, then moved to Estonia, and we are just empowering young people to do more social entrepreneurship projects and be able to create their own social enterprises. And yeah, that's in a nutshell.
Thank you. And you guys can absolutely check out our websites where you can read more about both of the works of the different organizations. We'll also share with you our contact information in case anybody has any particular questions about our previous work or any of the different startups that we have worked with, supported, and that we continue to work with. There's also a lot of different, I would say, entrepreneur stories, success stories, testimonials that you can experience how we have actually helped not only, I would say, accelerate, but also work with different startup founders towards building out really successful startups. With that said, as I promised, really kind of thinking about what LeapX is. So when we think about LeapX, we think about a very accelerated model that takes a idea and that begins at week 1. And at the end of week 5, we look at founders that have already developed startups. So the way that we do this is through our AI model, our AI built curriculum, where we, in essence, really try to help young founders, first-time founders, so those that are in that ideation stage, really understand what is the problem that they're working on, what is the problem they're trying to solve, and help them use the problem as a springboard and using different AI tools and support in building a solution around that problem. Right? So we think about how do you accelerate that process, which typically takes months in traditional startups. And of course, here we're focusing on more kind of tech, SaaS-based startups, something that we can build out using different AI tools. And then towards the end of the program, we really are always very proud when we look at some of these founders that came into these programs with just an idea, And then at the end of the program, they come out with not only a functioning prototype, but also on track on having customers and clients that are actually paying to use that solution. Lastly, the goal of Leap2Peak is, and LeapX and EGC is really thinking about how do we equip founders with investor-ready skills, right? So how do you pitch? How do you showcase that your solution and that maybe even the team or the work that you're doing is something that is ready for that growth, is ready for that investment? And how do you leverage different AI tools to really stream that process? Instead of spending maybe weeks on building out, let's say, a deck or a pitch deck or practicing, we work with you and really try to develop that in over a course of the week. Really would love to invite you all to check out our LeapX website that actually has that 5-week program broken down into these different segments that we try to cover during those 5 weeks. I'd say the main global trends right now are really everything is super AI hyped, right? But even myself on a daily basis, using AI tools on different fronts, from not only building out stuff, but also researching stuff, testing stuff. At times it becomes overwhelming, right? So if you're in a position where you're like, hey, I have maybe a good idea or two, or you really just want to learn how to use different AI tools, this is a fantastic opportunity because we're trying to integrate all of these different trends into a program that's going to be clear, consistent, and that's going to allow you to think about speed, right? So speed in the world of startups is essential. So instead of spending 5 months, 12 months on building out something, how about we do that with you over the course of a period of 5 weeks? And then lastly, what is a big problem for startups these days is really thinking and understanding how do they bridge that gap of getting to a point where they build out something of a kind of MVP type of pilot, and then getting to the point of where they get some funding in order to further develop that product or solution, right? So the idea behind using AI tools is really to accelerate that process. And what we do with LeapX is think about a period of 6 months on building out something. We try to take that and we do that over the course of a month. Right? So that's really where the power of LeapX lies, is accelerating that entire process to just 1 month. Shadi, I'll turn it over to you for the next slide.
Yes. You might ask what actually makes this unique from others. So in general, what we are trying to do, as Filip mentioned, is to reduce the time to market. So you will be able to do the market research. You will be able to do the ideation part using AI agents that we built together. And also, it will be a very intensive program that you will have this 1 month all compressed with all the steps from the time you have the idea until the time you have your first customers. We have also a great mentor network. So we have mentors from Microsoft, we have mentors from Google, we have mentors from Decathlon. So these people will work daily with you and in order to develop the idea that you will come up with. The other thing, the tweak that we are adding as well is the natural part where we will go at the end of the last week to Canary Islands, where we will be working together in one place. And we will be able to have both the non-formal way of working and also the startup environment all together in the nature. The ideas that we are going to develop together is actually targeting to be able to grow globally and to be able to have an impact not only on one market but also in different markets. Let's talk now about who should apply actually, and that's in the next slide. For us, we think that this program is ideal for very early stage founders, so people who just have an idea but didn't build anything yet and would like to build that and accelerate that in 1 month. And also anything that's pre-seed, people who didn't actually yet applied for any funding or not yet went into any investment rounds. Also, this is perfect for solo founders, so people who doesn't have co-founders, where the matching will happen during the program, and also up to 2 people teams that found an idea together. The last thing is people who would like to accelerate fast and also who like to learn and regenerate ideas fast and be able to pivot on their ideas in order to reach the product market fit as soon as possible. The next slide, please. The program structure is structured for 4 weeks. The first week where we will work with the AI tools and AI agents that we will build into the validation of the idea, discussing the idea between the founders. And also the second week, we will work on building after validating the idea, after knowing that there is interest and actually solving a problem. Then we will go in the second week into building the first MVP that we will validate. And the third week, we will work on the traction and the first customer. So we will build sales AI agents and marketing AI agents that will bring this product into the market as fast as possible. And the fourth week, we work into the investor pitch, where we will build together a perfect pitch that investor ready and be able to present it to external investors. The week 5 is where we will choose the successful ideas and invite them to the Canary Islands, where we will have our final week to work together into developing the investor pitch more, and also meeting with private investors that could have interest in your ideas and would like to start with the pre-seed investments. And that said, let's talk a little bit about the tools. So the tools in general, we will provide many of the AI tools credits that will work together on it. We will provide the frameworks. We provide the weekly workshop that will happen through these four weeks, also one-on-one with mentors and one-on-one with us, where we work together closely. Also, an access to founders community from EGC and also from Leap2Peak as well. Back to you, Filip.
Thank you, Shadi. And really kind of want to emphasize the importance of this community, right? So we have founders and startups that we work with literally across the world. And the power lies within some of these founders that have maybe started a year ago or 3 years ago, that we actually try to then pair with some of the startup founders that we work with, because that direct experience, that recent direct experience, is something that really is relevant to the startup founders that are just starting. But think about the opportunity working with very kind of successful and kind of senior mentors, while also in parallel working with individuals that maybe just started a year ago, maybe raised their first kind of 50K or first 200K, but are really on that path as yourself trying to be as well. So really thinking about when we look at LeapX, the end of this journey, what is it that you can expect, right? So when going into this program, I think the most important thing is also understanding what are some of the responsibilities, what are the expectations also from our end. So number one, as Shadi said, is really kind of that validation of not only the product, but validation of the problem. And that is where we try to achieve that problem solution fit in order to get that problem market fit. So it's one that follows the other, and understanding what makes you the best possible fit in order to really kind of target and create your niche market. So as part of that, the goal is, once you validated both of those aspects, is really we're going to work with you to tailor and customize your go-to-market, right? So during week 3, we're going to start focusing on how do you actually sell this? What are the different channels? Are you maybe a member of a university group? Are you maybe a member of, I don't know, you've been using Airbnb for several years and now you really kind of have access to an Airbnb community. So we really try to work with you to develop that go-to-market. And that means at the end of this program, having a not only functional MVP, but MVP that is 1, marketable, 1, 2, something that you can actually sell, and 3, something that you can monetize. And at the end of this program, LeapX produces for our founders their first users and generates that revenue. And I know this sounds and very, very traditional startup being the foundation of the lean startup methodology is something where this would have been, of course, impossible 5 years ago. But with this model and with the AI tools and resources and mentors, we actually then help create a very specific and customized roadmap. So even after the 5 weeks completed, we really try to continue to work with the founders that have been part of this program. Our goal is really to try to have startup founders that succeed, right? So when the program ends, if, for example, you want to stay and work with some of our mentors or our team members, um, to say that we're always at disposal, and that's the way that we really try to then continue to create and build. And when we think about, as Shadi mentioned, the backgrounds of different mentors, these are individuals that are at the forefront on actually not only using AI tools, but these are individuals that are building these tools. These are individuals that are using these tools for corporate, for enterprise level, for startup, for entry level, for first-time founders. They're the ones that are actually building solutions for a very small team of startups, for teams of 3, teams of 30. So we have a group of mentors that are globally successful, but also have the ability to locally think about how to create impact. For us, as well as our mentors, and there's more mentors that we will be involved. We're just showing you really kind of snap, really thinking about how do we create a generation of founders that also want to give back. All of these individuals, part of their professional work, they're also doing 100 million things on really kind of creating that impact. So as Shadi said, think about some of the most successful global tech companies, finance and banking, but also really kind of thinking about that solutions leaders that are out there. Individuals coming from the US, individuals coming from Europe, that really, I would say, are living LeapX on a daily basis. And that's the goal, is especially during the last week at the Canary Islands, when you'll have a chance to work with these individuals in person, is going to be where it elevates that experience, and really is going to provide your opportunity to also develop a relationship, a professional relationship that you can then deploy and execute based on anything that you want to do in the future. Um, Thinking about the pricing and the cost for the entire program, we're looking at a fee of about 1,300 euros. So this also includes the last week at the Canary Islands. So you, in essence, after covering this fee, do not have any other cost. So when it comes to the online program, when it comes to anything related to the frameworks, access to the tools, we provide all of that as part of this fee. And then at the latter part of the 5th week being at the Canary Islands, think whether it's your airfare, think about whether it's lodging, accommodation, meals. We also have some fun activities as part of that. And we really are trying to keep the cost as low as possible. And this is really kind of I would say the cost as low as possible, and covering all of these kind of key components in order to be able to execute when you think about, I would say, creating that impact at the end of your journey. Um, Yep. Kind of coming to the last slide is really thinking about what is it that you want to gain out of yourself. Think about how can you maximize. Maybe it's your passion, maybe it's an already existing idea, but also thinking about how can you execute on a fantastic opportunity. So think about a life experience that you're going to look back in 10 years and 5 years and be like, okay, this is something that actually altered and changed my life. And this is something that we do both at Leap2Peak and EGC. We work with founders that come back to us and say, hey, this is a moment in time in history where I managed to actually kind of change my entire perception of how I look at myself as an entrepreneur, as a potential entrepreneur, but also as a successful founder. When we think about I would say the focus is also thinking about that last week in Spain, where that in-person experience is really kind of the pinnacle of the program, but the pinnacle of the program, but really, 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 really kind of the beginning of your journey. And that's why I said it's really important to know that our community and is there for all of our founders, even once these programs, experiences, incubators complete. So I'll open the floor for any questions that we might have, but I'll just circle. through the chat box and the Q&A. So if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in there. And we can start with the first one. Awesome. Is there support for founders who aren't familiar with AI tools at all? Do you have to have a certain level of previous experience? Shadi, do you want to take that question?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, I mean, the main idea of bringing AI tools into the program, into building the pre-seed startup is because you don't need to be a technical founder. The idea is this is targeted mainly to non-technical founders who didn't have before the skills into building something, and these AI tools will bring these skills to them. So there's no previous skills needed here except passion and also entrepreneurial mindset in general. So I would say the level of using a PC, that would be when it comes to AI tools.
I love it. And really, guys, when you think about experience, just to add on top of that, Shadi, is people that are committed, right? So think about commitment and people that have a track record of really kind of trying to do something. And that's really what we're trying to find and identify. Okay, moving onwards. What are the expected time commitments each week, and how flexible is the schedule for those working or studying full time? Good question. So throughout the 4 weeks that we have online, each session is going to be about an hour and a half. So you're looking at 2 to 3 sessions per week. In addition to that, I always try to kind of suggest try to think about an additional hour or two where you will have specific tasks to work in your own individual time. Right? So all of these sessions are taking place in the afternoon. So after working hours are complete on Central European time. So there's not, if you have any academic or professional obligations, and of course that is normal, we will also be recording some of the sessions. So for example, like if you have a work commitment, you can't make a session, we'll share that with you. We'll follow up with you if there's a specific task or if there's any material that you need to review or complete. For the in-person program, we definitely try to recommend that you are as committed as possible, meaning that if you have a work meeting, you have to pop out really quickly throughout the day, absolutely fine. Sorry, but think about that 1 week as an opportunity where you can maximize that time. Right? So in order to maximize the time, you need to be able to be present as much as possible. Awesome. And then moving on to the next questions. Do you have any testimonials from past editions or success stories? Yeah, great question. So I think we have so far had over 6 years of different experiences working with different startup founders through EGC. And we, as I mentioned, I think at the beginning of the session, we have a lot of different success stories from the founders, from the mentors, from the startups that we worked with on our website. And also think about LeapX is really kind of setting the capstone for the implementation of AI tools. If you ask me, this entire model would have not been possible, and Shadi, feel free to jump in, would have not been possible to build out in 2 years ago, right? Because of the development of different tools and approaches in actually scaling startups, the entire landscape has changed. So we're introducing something that is groundbreaking, but also something that is super exciting, that is going to change how startups are actually being built. But Shadi, yeah, please feel free to jump in.
Yeah. I just want to add that AI is changing only the timeline, but the topics, the actual work that need to be done, the stuff at any startup is the same. It's just the timeline that actually is changed in, for example, validating an idea or validating an MVP in general. And that makes me go to the, just before going, so for testimonials, you can find it on EGC website and also on Leap2Peak.org website, which we will share as well, and you can find it on social media. But that makes me jump to the next question, which is, does that mean that LeapX produce purely product solutions for which an MVP can be built in 1 to 2 weeks? I understand that AI accelerates this process, but to me, it seems to somewhat limit the space of products that are compatible with LeapX program. A great question, actually. So LeapX program is targeting now only software products That's the idea. And for the MVP, building the MVP for sure, the creating the idea, validating the idea and the problem, and also going to the solution until the solution. This is followed in any other products. The other thing is also for the software AI tools allow us to create quick MVPs to be able to generate the first revenue, let's say, and the first traction. But then after that, the MVP itself is designed to be renewed, to move to a more stable environment, for example. That's what founders gonna find after generating the first traction. So that's from my side. Philip, do you have anything here?
No, Shadi, thank you. And I do believe that then you scratched also into the following question to answer that in terms of what outcomes can participants expect, and kind of what can participants also expect after the program. Just to kind of jump in there really quickly. So think about the opportunity for the mentors and our teams to actually continue to work with you. So whether these be, let's say, bi-monthly meetings where you want to work or a actual pitch, or if you want to test something, we have beta testers, or if you need developers, we have developers. So think about all the different resources that you might need to actually kind of push you forward. It is in our interest for you to succeed. It is in our interest for you to build out that trust relationship with an advisor, a mentor that tomorrow can also perhaps get involved in more of a formal role. So we are a toolbox on both of our sides that is really kind of out there, ready to help the founders that we work with. Following up on the next question, when it's up to first clients and revenue, does this mean that we're going to open a legal entity in the same 4-week program? If yes, where and how? Great question. So because we'll have a international cohort, that process is going to be different for each participant. What we always advise are, in particular, the SaaS founders. So think about very kind of different applications and platforms, is until you start generating that revenue that's going to kind of bring you into a specific, at least in the US, into a specific tax bracket. To that extent, you do not need to register a specific entity. We also work with a lot of founders. Just yesterday, I was working with one founder registering his first startup in New Mexico, right? And it literally took about, I think it was maybe 20 or 30 minutes. And the cost is super, super affordable. The process is super easy. So when it comes to that actual step where founders and startups want to register, whether it's in the US or whether it's in Europe or somewhere else, we help founders actually do that as well. Shadi, yeah, feel free to jump in if you want to.
Yeah, just one thing. So you introduce different models into registering legal entity, as the example we mentioned from Mexico, but also, for example, within EU, we will introduce also Estonia. We'll introduce different models that founders will be dynamic into that topic. And after the program is done, if they don't have a legal entity, it will be easy for them to do that.
Thank you, Shadi. Next question. Great presentation. Thank you. Can you clarify what's the application evaluation process look like? Competitive is it, and what criteria do you look at most? So maybe I can give you a really kind of real experience. So we're literally today wrapping up in a evaluation for a current incubator. So we're looking at kind of the stages where we typically take on, between each of the phases, about 30% of those that kind of move onwards. So for example, if we have a group of 150 that apply, in our next phase of the review, we typically take about 30%. For LeapX, we're looking approximately about the same percentage. That said, that is going to be applicable for the Canary Island segment in particular, right? So if you apply for the online program, you will be accepted. So think about that 4-week as that introduction. And when we will be then at the end of that 4-week reviewing startups and ideas and founders, that is when we'll be reviewing the candidates and really trying to think, okay, out of the group that we have during the first 4 weeks, which 10 are going to be the best equipped and moved along the most in actually kind of taking them on into the Canary Island experience. Okie dokie, then moving on to the, that's the last question. Maria, thank you for sharing the link. If there are any other questions or if there's any other, I would say, inquiries related to any aspect of the program, we have also within the website a inquiry form where you could submit any questions, reach out to us. We'll really try to promptly circle back to you. We have about another 6 days until the application deadline. And I have to say, fingers crossed, good luck in applying and really think about, again, how do you maximize everything that's happening around you in a very short amount of time to build out something that can change your future and bring about a really successful product. With that said, Shadi, if there's anything else that you want to mention, please.
Just thank you very much, and looking forward for your applications.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. And like I said, looking forward to seeing those great ideas. Thanks, everybody. Have a great, awesome day.